Imagine for a moment the power of duality, how it shapes everything in life. Just like the poles of a battery, from positive to negative, there's energy flowing through the system. It's this very flow, this back and forth, this dance between opposites that creates change. Without this polarity, nothing would move. Can you see that? If everything were the same, if there were no contrast, there'd be no spark to drive us forward, no energy to fuel progress, no force to push us towards transformation. Now think about how nature works. What happens when we have the extremes of day and night, light and dark, joy and sorrow? Each experience, each moment of a contrast, is like a doorway to a new possibility. It's not the contrast itself that defines us. It's how we work with it. It's how we use that contrast, that push-pull, to create the energy that drives us forward. You've probably noticed when things seem to be at their most difficult, when there's a change in your way. It's often the moment right before a breakthrough. That moment of friction, of polarity. It's actually the catalyst for transformation. It's that duality, those moments when you feel pulled in two directions. That is what fuels revolution. You could say, without the contrast between hot and cold, there'd be no sensation of temperature. Without the contrast between light and dark, there'd be no appreciation for the light. What if you were to embrace this contrast as a natural part of the process? What if you could see every challenge, every moment of tension, as an opportunity to align with that life-giving energy? Instead of resisting, what if you allowed yourself to flow with it, knowing that each movement, whether you feel it as positive or negative, it only adds to the tapestry of your growth. It's like the way a tree bends in the wind, not resisting, but learning to sway with the breeze, allowing itself to grow taller, stronger, and more resilient. This is the dance of life, isn't it? Polarity, contrast, movement. When you embrace it, you begin to notice this very energy, the energy of duality. It becomes your greatest ally, because as you work with it, you start to feel alive. You start to feel the creative spark within you, igniting new possibilities, new actions, new insights. And you start to realize every experience, no matter how challenging, it's a chance to alchemize that energy into something new, something powerful. Can you see how embracing these polarities, this duality, is the secret to creating change? The moment you stop seeing it as something to fight against, and start seeing it as something to work with, something to harness, you'll start to feel the power that you have to create the life you want from the inside out. When you work with these energies, you're not just changing yourself, you're changing the world around you. You're creating harmony. You're creating unity. You're tapping into the flow of life itself. It's like tuning into the rhythm of the universe. Each beat, each pulse of contrast, moving you closer and closer to your highest potential. Just like a battery needs both positive and negative to create energy, so too do you need both light and dark to create the full spectrum of your experience. There's no need to fear one or the other. You don't need to choose sides. You can allow both to coexist, knowing that each has its place in the dance of life. And through this, you create abundance, joy, love, and transformation. You see, the more you accept the dualities of life, the more you open yourself to the possibility of change. The more you tap into the flowing of energy that surrounds you. It's all there, just waiting for you to tap into it. And as you do, you become more and more skilled at turning any contrast, any polarity, into an opportunity for growth. You start to alchemize every experience into something that serves you and those around you. What if, from this moment on, you began to embrace the duality in your life with open arms? What if you chose to dance with the contrast, knowing that each step forward is powered by the energy that comes from meeting of opposites? How much could you accomplish if you were able to see challenge as simply another opportunity to alchemize, to create, transform? The beauty of life, then, It isn't in avoiding the contrast or trying to escape them. It's in fully experiencing them. It's in recognizing the movement between them is where the magic happens. And through that, you begin to see the world not as a place of conflict, but as a place of incredible potential. A place where energy flows freely and continuously, creating the change that you desire. Imagine how easy it could be, once you understand this, to harness this energy and turn it into anything you want, anything you choose. And as you embrace this truth, you begin to feel the flow of life, the flow of energy, begins to work in your favour. You begin to realise you're part of this grand dance of duality. And with each step, you move closer to your highest potential. You're already doing it. You already have the ability to transform any moment of contrast into an opportunity for growth. Because this is how life works. It's all part of the dance, the rhythm, the energy that you're a part of. And every time you embrace the dualities, you create more movement, more energy, more change. And isn't that what life is all about? So imagine this for a moment. What if every experience, every moment of life was simply another invitation to dance? And as you step into that dance, you begin to notice the rhythm, the push, the pull of life itself, guiding you effortlessly from one step to the next. You feel the natural ebb and flow, like the ocean's tide, moving, shifting, changing with every wave. Now isn't it interesting how the tide moves in and out, constantly embracing the polarities, the contrasts, the highs and the lows. Without those changes, there'd be no ocean, no rhythm, no life. It's in that flow, in that dance, where everything comes alive. What would it be like if you allowed yourself to fully embrace that dance, feeling the natural pull of life, moving through each moment, knowing that every shift, every change, every contrast is part of a larger, beautiful, ever-unfolding process? How effortless would it be to simply accept each shift, each change, each contrast as part of the process of creating the life you desire? And as you notice how everything flows together, you can begin to realize something incredible. The moments of tension, the points of contrast, they're not to be avoided or feared, no. These moments are where the real power lives. It's like seeing the sun's light reflected off a mountain's lake. It's only the meeting of the light and the water that create the brilliance you see. Imagine how much more easily you can create that brilliance when you understand that contrast is not something to fight against, but something to work with. In fact, you might start to notice how contrast becomes your ally. Imagine how every time something feels off or uncomfortable, it's like you're standing at the edge of something new, something transformative. It's like the moment before a plant pushes its way through the soil. The tension, the strain, the effort, they're actually signs of growth. The contrast of dark soil and the bright light of the sun, thought make that growth possible. Isn't that amazing? Every experience of contrast is a doorway. And as you walk through those doorways, you begin to understand how each challenge is just the universe showing you how to expand, how to grow, how to embrace your own power. You're going to feel the contrast working for you. Imagine each moment of duality as an exchange of energy, like a battery that needs both positive and negative poles to create the charge. What if instead of seeing one side of the polarity as bad or wrong, you could see both as necessary components in the creation of movement? Picture yourself as the battery, each polarity within you creating energy, making things happen, moving you towards the next evolution of who you are. In this space, you can start to feel that it's not about choosing one side or another, but about allowing both to exist simultaneously. Think of it like the dance of light and shadows. The shadows, they're cast only by the light, and without the contrast, there'd be no depth, no dimension. You might even start to enjoy the dance, the shifting, the movement between opposites, as it becomes your power, your creative force. And as you do, you notice every contrast, every push and pull. It adds to the richness of your experience. What would it be like to begin to recognize these moments of duality, of tension, as opportunities to alchemize energy. Imagine how simple it becomes to create something new, something powerful, from the very friction that you once thought would hold you back. Picture turning that friction into gold, not just once but repeatedly, turning challenges into opportunities, contrast into creation. Every time you feel that tension, you become more and more skilled at transforming it into something new. What if you knew deep down that this is how the universe works? That everything flows through duality, through contrast, creating the very movement that makes life happen. This movement is natural, it's inherent. It's part of the rhythm that drives you forward. And as you tap into that rhythm, as you move with that flow of life, you can start to notice something amazing. You're not just surviving, you're creating. You're becoming the change you wish to see in the world. Picture this. What if every time you encountered a contrast, a duality, you knew you were simply being given the gift of energy, the energy to create something more, something better, something greater? And what if in those moments you could tap into that energy instantly, transforming it from a source of tension into a source of pure creation? You see, this is where you begin to feel your true power. When you embrace the energy of contrast instead of resisting it, the more you allow it, the more you work with it, the more you begin with the creative forces of the universe. In fact, the more you allow this to guide you, the more you might notice how your life begins to reflect the very energy that you're learning to work with. Polarity becomes your ally. Duality becomes your tool. Change becomes your natural state. And as you continue on this path, you can begin to notice the world around you shifts too. Because your new understanding, your new way of interacting with contrast, is reflected in the energy you put out in the world. You're no longer a victim of the push and pull. You're the creator. You're the alchemist. You can take any experience, any challenge, and transform it into something beautiful, something meaningful, something aligned with your highest desires. The process is simple. The process is powerful. And every time you embrace the contrast of life, you get better, more skilled, more effortless in creating the life you want. Feel how natural it becomes. Every time you face polarity, you can feel the charge, the energy, the potential ready to be tapped. And just like a battery, the more you engage with the positive and negative energies that are around you, the more you feel the power building. The more movement, the more change, the more flow. Everything in your life becomes a source of creation. Every experience, no matter the polarity, becomes part of your grand, beautiful unfolding. And as you continue to embrace this, you begin to notice how much easier it is to create harmony, unity, and balance. Not by avoiding the contrasts, but by embracing them, by welcoming them into your life. As you become skilled in working with these energies, you realize you're no longer simply surviving life, you're creating it. Each moment, each contrast, each duality, it's simply another opportunity to transform energy and to create the change you desire. And isn't it remarkable how the more you accept the flow of life, how the more you welcome both sides of every polarity, the more powerfully you step into the role of creator, the more you align with the energies of duality, the more you become the change you want to see, the more you radiate harmony, abundance, joy and love.